I have a very controversial taste in books.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you.
And with that being said, today we are going to be reading some of your guys' one-star reviews on my favorite books. This shall be interesting. We are starting this challenge off very strong with a very controversial book. And guess what? I already said I have a controversial taste in books, so I don't care. Okay? The first book we are going to be reading the one-star reviews for is Shallow River by H.D. Carlton. If you have not read this book, you probably do not understand why it's so controversial, but this is a book about a DV survivor, and this is also a trauma dump for H.D. Carlton. So, you guys were kind of mean with your reviews, but let's get into them. I found all of these reviews on Goodreads because that is what I use to review my books that I read and the ones that I enjoy. But because I found them on Goodreads and Goodreads does show your name, I am going to be blurring out the names of each person that reviewed Shallow River and all of the other books I chose just out of respect for the reviewer, because I know if your opinion differs, sometimes you get hate, and that's not cool. I'm also reading these off of my iPad, so if you see me look to the side, it's because I'm looking at my iPad. But the first review says, no, period. Not for me, period. Reads like trauma corn. What is that? Please, tell me what it is. Educate me in the comments because I have no clue. Also, like I said, this is a trauma dump book for H.D. Carlton. She put her whole heart into this book, and I absolutely love River. I think she's a badass, and in some of these reviews, people really hate on her, which is really sad. This review is very long. It is a whole paragraph, like that big. So stick with me here. Okay, starts off by saying spoilers. The main character is an absolute moron. At the beginning, she's made out to be some sort of badass. Then 20% into the book, you realize she's just stupid and lacks any common sense. The whole book feels like the author thought of every single version of grape they could and just dumped them into it. None of the characters were likable, including the brother, Mako, who is made out to be the good guy detective. He is dumb as hell as well. Like your play on words. The boyfriend of the main female character is immediately shown to be a piece of shit, yet she continues to make excuses after excuse. She is acknowledged that he is awful, then miraculously forgets it all and stays. As a former child SA survivor, it is an insult to read books like this. It portrays us as stupid and incapable of seeing abuse for what it is. I've read way too many books like this. If I could unread this book, I would. Sis. Or bro. I don't know. Whoever you are. Um, why are you reading books like this if they trigger you and aren't portraying your certain version of your events? Why would you even read it? Why? It has trigger warnings. It tells you what the book is about, pretty much. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna mind my business and move on. This one's really funny. This book was garbage. This was something a middle-class teenage girl writes on Wattpad. Read this if you want an unrealistic story of why women stay. I love dark romance, but this was just a trauma-filled book. I didn't finish the book. I tried to skip through all of the plot and get to the ending so I could see how things turned out, but after the FMC was graped a second time, I had to leave the book alone. I completely understand not being able to read books that have non-consensual situations in them. But most of dark romance is written about subjects that make people uncomfortable. And if you're a dark romance reader and you're uncomfortable while reading a dark romance book, please, why do you continue to read dark romance? I don't understand. But also, I was a middle class girl reading stories like this on Wattpad, and I think that's why I like dark romance so much and why I like crazy fucked up stories is because of the stuff I read on Wattpad. Because what the hell? Who allowed 13, 12, even 15-year-old me to be reading this stuff? I don't know. Certainly not my mom. If she knew what I was reading, oh, I would have been beat. Book number 2 was my only 6-star read ever. Book number 2 is Phantasma. If you haven't read this book and you are looking for a nice, cozy fantasy that's also full of romance, I think this one is for you. It has trials, it has magic systems, it has kind of Toucher and Die vibes. Oh, it is so good, and I think you all would freaking love it. But the 1-star reviews, if I read the reviews before I read the books, I probably would not have read this, but I am so glad that I did. Review number 1. I did not give two shits about what was happening. LOL. I don't always hate insta love / attraction, but the relationship here genuinely didn't work for me. Technically a DNF, but I got 75% of the way through, so I'm gonna review. Why would you get 75% of the way through a book and then stop reading it? You're already pretty much done. Your math is not mathing to me. Review number 2. Is this the worst book? ? No. This is generic and boring, made with zero creativity. It takes a creative person to write a book. Anyway, not like other girls with cringe with insta love. They were giving MGK and Megan Fox, girl, bye. They kind of were, not even gonna lie. It was like the way that I imagined the characters. I thought Ophelia was like some voluptuous, beautiful, like higher up there in the class system. And then the male character, I thought he looked, in my brain, he was a twig. He kind of gave off MGK vibes, so I understand that to the fullest extent. But that was funny. Too funny not to share. Review number 3. This ... no. I simply cannot read any more about Ghost Dick. Why? Why can't you read any more? What is wrong with it? What do you have against it? Because, girl, the spice was spicy. I was blushing. I was kicking my feet and screaming like a little girl. It was so good. So good. So, this is one of the longest book reviews I have ever read. And I'm only going to be reading bits and pieces of this because it is too freaking funny. Okay? Stick around. My selling pitch. Another shitty Rysand fanfiction repacked for the masses. Now with added ghosts. On my to not read list. Think of it? Fantasy OCD? ? Very clunky writing. Girly Pop needs to go to horny jail. She is down bad. Fan of Asthma House. Asthma House. Huh? I hate the homeboy's magic dick cures my mental illness trope. But don't you want a magic dick to heal your mental illness? Because I do. I didn't know that was a trope, but we need to add that to the trope list because that is kind of funny. Wait, is this supposed to be Vladdy Daddy? Low-key, I think yes, if there really is any stock in the Danny Phantom allegations. Girly Pop is so dumb. Like, he literally tells her to call him first thing, and then she never calls him. Okay, that... I was so irritated because she needed help and she didn't call him, and she just... I don't know what she thought she was doing. If you watch Rick and Morty, you'll kind of laugh at this one because it's kind of funny. But it says, yes, so what if he's the devil, Rick? At least the devil has a job. At least he's active in the community. And then the comment underneath said, underrated comment. Kind of funny. Now, I don't know about you guys. I absolutely loved A Court of Silver Flames with a burning passion. I'm actually getting a tattoo in March inspired by Nesta and how she kind of just kept fighting, didn't let anybody's words bother her, and she just kept being her. Okay, and because of that, this book had to come on my list of books that I'm reviewing or reacting to. The first review says, is she not embarrassed? ... This is really embarrassing. Why? 50 Shades of Fairy. If you're looking for fair erotica, maybe you'll like it. I don't know. Come on, it wasn't that bad. Actually, like, I read this book in 3 days because it was just so packed full of Cassian and Nesta, and I loved it. This one is for all the Nesta haters. I hate Nesta. Then somebody said, "It's not even Nesta's character alone. I didn't think there would be a book worse than Breaking Dawn. This book proved me wrong." Then another comment said, "Nesta and Elaine are terrible characters. That's because y'all like pick-me girls." I said what I said. This third review is kind of long, so I apologize. You're going to hear me ramble. I'm probably going to speed it up just so that you guys don't have to listen to it. But, anyways, amazing, brilliant, show stopping. 4 words that do not describe this train wreck. This book just does not exist to me at all. I'm pretending it never happened, with a smiley face. In all honesty, this book was like a poorly written fanfic at best. The plot was questionable, the ending was rushed and contradictory. It often felt like I was just reading plain smut with some context. So what? What's the matter with that? I do not think that any of the original characters stayed true to themselves in this book at all. Did she even read her own books before starting this? That's a good question. If you need positives, my favorite aspect of the book would likely be the snippets of the inner circle and Nesta's training with the priestess and Emery. And I adore Gwen and Naz. Me too, girl. Me too. What upset me the most about this book really was that Nesta was almost in this pinnacle point in popular modern fantasy, YA literature. That she was a woman who was a bitch and that was her character. It was part of who she was and she wasn't ashamed to do so. I didn't particularly like her, but I respected her for this. Girl, that's me. However, by the end of this book, she was bowing and staying quiet, but that was very unlikable. That why are male characters like Rysand allowed to be assholes? And that's part of their charm, redemption or not. But if a female character is, she needs to lose that part of her. It's blatant misogyny and sickening. In conclusion, this book was shit. I agree with the last part, through and through. Not that the book was shit, but that men are allowed to be assholes in books. It's okay. People find it attractive. People love it. But then when you have a female character that is a little bit of a bitch who has a backbone, nobody likes it. Everybody hates her and they don't want to read her book. Y'all don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. Now, if you know me, you know the Devil's Night series is a huge part of my personality. I read this series last year and I absolutely loved it. My favorite books were Killswitch and Nightfall, and because of that, they're in this video. So we're going to start with Killswitch and then we're going to do Nightfall because that's how the order of the series goes. The first review is directed at the author, Penelope Douglas, and it's kind of funny. "I'm gonna need you to check yourself into the psych ward for consciously thinking hitting publish on this was a good idea." Somebody commented. They went to this reviewer's profile and said, "Homegirl really rated Ugly Love 5 stars, then talk shit about Penelope Douglas. Bye." She said what she said. This one is really mean. They're a Damon hater, and I don't know why because I love Damon. But it said, "Maybe I would have pushed the boat out and rated this 2 stars if Damon had died brutally or something." What? I don't even understand why somebody would want that. There. So what if he's an asshole? So what? So what? This one is funny. "Statutory grape is okay if you're in love. Hyphen, a story." Somebody commented, "Some books should stay in the drafts. This is one." I don't think it was that bad. This review says, "Nope, I'm out. I'm officially done with this series. I have no words to convey how fucked this series is. Y'all need therapy." This one was bolded and underlined, and there's a gif that goes along with it. "I'm sorry, I'm out." Kind of funny. Kind of funny. I don't. Maybe I didn't read the same one y'all did. I don't know. Moving on to Nightfall because I love Mr. Will Grayson III. It says, "This is comedy. Pure comedy." I don't understand your comment because the book was not funny at all. To be honest with you, it was not funny. This one's funny as well. Lord, cleanse my eyes and guide my soul. Amen. It didn't say amen. I said amen. This one says, I wish I didn't know the ABCs so that I couldn't read this book. You actively chose to pick this book up. If you guys don't know what type of author Penelope Douglas is, she literally wrote Credence. Let that speak for itself. This one is kind of intense, to say the least. It's intense. It's an intense review for no reason. It says this whole series is dog shit. I might consider reading it with a pew pew to my head. Somebody commented that was a bit dramatic. Because it was. Because what? What? You got to the last book and you're freaking out now? If you enjoyed this video and you want to see me read more one-star reviews on my favorite books or your guys' favorite books, please leave a comment down below and like this
Baby
video.
girl, you are so pretty.